before the game yesterday, I don't know if you heard this report comes out that Shedeur Sanders said he didn't want to go to the Ravens because he didn't want to have to back up Lamar Jackson. Did you guys have any legitimate interest in him, or is, we can't?
You're asking me.
We can't ask Eric, so.
Oh, that's a good way to frame it. But like, so you think that I'm going to answer draft process questions? Yeah, I was in the room. We have a policy here that
if you have no use for Shedeur, play him, increases draft stock, increases trade value, and then make the trade. The Baltimore Ravens already want Shedeur. By the end of the trade deadline, they might trade for Shedeur knowing, hey, we're not going to play Lamar Jackson the rest of the season. We're eliminated from the playoffs. Cooper Rush, he's not our future. Snoop Huntley's been here for 4 years, and he's cool, but we know his ceiling. And more than anything, the Ravens know how to manage a personality like Shedeur. They're not scared of those personalities.
Yeah.
They got Lamar Jackson. They had Ray Lewis. They had Terrell Suggs. They had Ed Reed. Like, the Ravens aren't intimidated by guys with big personalities.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. The craziest part of that whole clip isn't the question. It's the silence. You can literally feel the room change the second Shedeur Sanders' name hits the air. Before that, Harbaugh is doing what he always does. Calm, controlled, veteran head coach mode. He's praising Lamar, talking about execution, doing the whole one game at a time routine. And then that reporter goes, "Did you guys have any legitimate interest in him?" And everything freezes. That pause, that little smirk, that shift in his eyes. That told me way more than any quote ever could. Because here's the thing. John Harbaugh is not some rookie coach who gets caught off guard by media. He's been doing this for over a decade. He's survived playoff heartbreaks, contract drama, roster turnover. He's bulletproof at the podium. So when he suddenly tightens up, dodges, and instantly goes to the "we have a policy, we don't talk about draft room decisions" line, I'm sorry, that's not random, that's not normal, that's not just coach speak. That's a man making sure he doesn't accidentally say the quiet part out loud. You can almost hear the subtext. Yeah, something happened, but I'm not about to be the one to confirm it. And for us as fans, that's where this becomes wild. Because this isn't some bottom-tier franchise sniffing around a rookie quarterback. This is the Baltimore Ravens. This is one of the most stable, well-run organizations in the league. These guys don't chase every rumor. They don't get desperate. When they move, it's calculated. It's long-term. And when you line that up with the whispers we've been hearing, the Shedeur reports, the "I don't want to sit behind anybody" talk, the Browns' messy QB situation, it all starts to feel a little too connected to just write off as smoke. At the same time, Lamar Jackson is out there playing like a two-time MVP who wants a third. 4 touchdowns, no picks, making something out of absolutely nothing like he always does. He's still that dude. So why are we even in a world where Lamar Jackson and Shedeur Sanders are being discussed in the same breath inside the Ravens building? That's what makes Harbaugh's reaction so heavy. It's not just a random question. It's a peek into a conversation we were never supposed to hear about. And if that's what it looks like from the outside, imagine what the conversations behind closed doors sound like. Because if Harbaugh's silence is this loud, you know there's a much bigger story underneath it. Shedeur Sanders didn't just enter the NFL conversation, he detonated it. And that's why this whole situation hits different. Because the moment Shedeur declared, openly, confidently, "I'm not coming to the league to be anybody's backup," everything shifted. That wasn't arrogance. That was a young quarterback telling the NFL, "I know exactly who I am." And whether fans loved it or hated it, the league heard him loud and clear. That's why teams aren't looking at him like some developmental project. They're looking at him like a future face of the franchise. They're seeing a kid with NFL arm talent, NFL processing, NFL confidence, before he's even taken a real NFL snap. And honestly, when you watch his tape, when you listen to him speak, when you see how he carries himself, it makes sense. He doesn't talk like a rookie. He doesn't move like a rookie. He doesn't think like a rookie. He's already operating like a quarterback who expects the ball in his hands with 2 minutes left and the game on the line. So when you hear that the Ravens where we were interested, you have to take a step back. Because Baltimore isn't impulsive. They don't chase hype. They don't get caught up in noise. This is a team that drafts for culture fit, long-term upside, and system identity. They don't even look at quarterbacks unless they see something real. And if they saw Shedeur as someone worth more than $100 million in assets, that tells you how disruptive this guy already is. And no, this was never about replacing Lamar Jackson. Let's be clear about that. Lamar is playing the best football of his career, two-time MVP, the heart of that offense, the most electric player in the league on any given Sunday. But the Ravens know how the NFL works. They know windows close fast. They know injuries come out of nowhere. They know it's smart to plan 3, 4, 5 years down the line, even when your present is elite. And that's exactly where Shedeur fits in, because Shedeur is built for the version of the NFL we're living in right now. Quick release, pre-snap intelligence, play-extending ability, a calm chaos to his game where everything is falling apart, but he doesn't flinch. He's got that modern QB DNA, the kind of edge you see in guys like Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert. Quarterbacks who stepped into the league and instantly shifted expectations. That's why Shedeur changed everything, because he represents the next wave, the next prototype, the next gamble teams are willing to sell their future for. And the fact that he told Baltimore, told a franchise built on stability and success, that he had no interest in holding a clipboard behind Lamar, that only adds to the legend. That's the type of confidence that scares some teams and attracts the great ones. And honestly, this is where the story really starts heating up. Because if Shedeur shook the Ravens this much before he even played a game, imagine what happens once he does. The wild thing about this whole situation is how fast the narrative around Shedeur flips depending on who you talk to. One minute, he's a future superstar with NFL pedigree. The next minute, analysts are calling him arrogant because he refuses to sit behind anybody. And I'm sitting here thinking, since when did wanting to compete make you a villain in this league? Since when did confidence become a weakness? But that's the world Shedeur walked into. The spotlight is brighter, the critics are louder, and every single thing he says gets twisted into something it's not. You've got talking heads on television acting shocked that a young quarterback doesn't want to spend his rookie year holding a clipboard. Meanwhile, every legendary quarterback we praise did the exact same thing. Joe Burrow came in ready to start. CJ Stroud came in ready to start. Even Justin Herbert wasn't supposed to play right away. And the moment he touched the field, he never gave the job back. This isn't new. The only difference is Shedeur said it out loud, and that honesty scares people. Then you add Cleveland into the mix, and the whole situation gets even messier. The Browns are stuck in this weird in-between space, trying to build a future, but constantly putting out fires in the present. Their roster is talented, but the quarterback room, let's be real, it's unstable. And when instability meets a high-profile rookie like Shedeur, the criticism gets multiplied. Every throw gets judged harder. Every mistake becomes a headline. Every rumor becomes a problem. And the moment the Ravens sniff around, the entire fan base goes into panic mode. Why would Baltimore want our guy? What do they know that we don't? On the flip side, the Ravens aren't free from drama either. Yeah, Lamar is playing at an MVP level, but Baltimore's front office is always thinking long-term. They've seen what happens to running quarterbacks as the hits stack up. They've watched windows close faster than anyone expects. They're not scared of the noise. They're scared of getting caught without a plan. So even the idea of trading for Shedeur creates tension. What would that do to Lamar's camp? What would that do to the locker room? What would that do to their "we're all in on Lamar" identity? It's chaos, pure NFL chaos. And Shedeur is stuck right in the middle of it, being pulled between superstardom and skepticism. Half the league thinks he's the next big thing, the other half thinks he's too bold for his own good. But that's how it always is with players who have something special. The criticism isn't a sign he's overrated. It's a sign he threatens the status quo. You don't get this many people talking about you unless you matter. And trust me, Shedeur matters a lot more than some folks want to admit. And the craziest part, this storm is just getting started. The thing people forget about Shedeur Sanders is that every great quarterback we celebrate today once stood exactly where he's standing right now. Right on that line between doubt and destiny. And the quarterbacks who break through, they're the ones who don't flinch. They're the ones who look the pressure straight in the eye and say, "Good, bring more." And that's why I honestly believe Shedeur might be the future of this league. Look at the pattern. Lamar Jackson was doubted from the moment he entered the draft. Not accurate enough. Not a real quarterback. And now, he's a two-time MVP playing the best football of his life. Patrick Mahomes was a project behind Alex Smith, and sitting for 1 year turned him into the most dangerous quarterback the NFL has ever seen. Justin Herbert wasn't even supposed to start until a freak medical mistake put him on the field. And the man never looked back. C.J. Stroud walked into the league with people calling him just a system guy, and 10 games later, he's ripping through defenses like he's been in the NFL for a decade. The road to superstardom always starts with the same thing: fire, that unshakable belief, that internal switch that tells a young quarterback, you belong here, and Shedeur has that. We've seen it at every level: high school, college. Now the NFL spotlights are starting to heat up, and instead of folding, he's leaning into it. That matters. Coaches can coach footwork, timing, protections, but they can't coach that inner engine. And that's exactly why coaches secretly love quarterbacks with an edge. The great ones aren't passive, they're not quiet, they've got a presence, a tone, a way of commanding a room even before they've earned the room. And multiple reports out of Browns camp and league circles say the same thing. Shedeur prepares like a veteran. He studies like he's starving to win. He handles interviews with the same calm intensity his dad had before big games. He sets standards high, sometimes higher than the people around him expect. That's not a flaw, that's leadership. That's the DNA of every elite quarterback that's taken over this league. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Teams like the Ravens love that type of personality. Baltimore has always embraced strong, outspoken, confident players. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Lamar himself. Their entire culture is built around toughness, accountability, and belief. They don't shy away from big personalities, they elevate them. So, when you hear that Baltimore wanted Shedeur, it clicks. It actually makes perfect sense. He's exactly the type of quarterback they'd want to mold for the next era, because Shedeur checks every box they value. Resilient under pressure, fearless in big moments, studious, disciplined, coachable, but bold enough to speak his mind. And even after all the noise, all the criticism, all the drama, guess what? He's still rising. That's not a downward trend, that's an upward rocket. And if this is what he looks like before he's even truly started, just imagine what comes next. Here's the part nobody wants to admit out loud, but everyone in the league is quietly thinking. This story isn't over. Not even close. Because when a franchise like the Baltimore Ravens shows serious interest in a young quarterback, that interest doesn't just disappear. It lingers. It waits. It studies. It circles back when the timing is right. And if there's one thing we've learned about the Ravens over the last decade, it's that they always keep their options open for the future, especially at the most important position in football. That's why I wouldn't be shocked at all if Baltimore revisits this entire thing in a year or two. Not because Lamar is slipping, he's playing elite football right now, but because the Ravens know how quickly things can change. They know windows open and close in an instant, and if they believe Shedeur was worth over $100 million in assets once, what happens when he actually starts proving it on an NFL field? What happens when he stacks big throws, big moments, and big confidence against real NFL defenses? I'll tell you what happens. His price skyrockets. Whatever number they floated this time around becomes pocket change compared to what he'll cost down the road. And let's talk about the leak itself. Stories like this don't just magically appear. Somebody in that room wanted the world to hear it. Maybe it was Cleveland trying to build leverage. Maybe it was Baltimore trying to send a message. Maybe it was Shedeur's camp, letting the league know exactly how valuable he is. But leaks with this kind of timing are intentional, strategic, and they almost always surround players who end up becoming stars. The NFL doesn't waste oxygen on quarterbacks who don't matter. When this much smoke builds this early, history tells us fire is coming next. Honestly, it feels like a turning point in Shedeur's entire career. The moment where public perception starts shifting from promising rookie to future franchise cornerstone. Because think about what this rumor alone says. One of the smartest, most disciplined, most respected front offices in football tried to move heaven and earth to get him. That doesn't happen by accident. that doesn't happen unless you see something real. And the league is watching. Fans are watching. Other teams are quietly adjusting their boards. Everyone sees it now. Shedeur isn't just another quarterback prospect. He's an investment, a chess piece, a potential dynasty starter. And years from now, when people look back, this might be the moment they point to and say, "Yep, that's when we should have known." That awkward pause from Harbaugh, that refusal to deny anything, that rumor that sounded too crazy to be true, but somehow made perfect sense. This is how it starts for future stars, with whispers, with doubt, with drama, with a story so big it forces the entire league to pay attention. So, here's my prediction. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a problem in the NFL for a long time. Whether it's in Cleveland, Baltimore, or somewhere nobody expects yet, he's going to make his mark. He's going to prove why teams were fighting for him before he even put on an NFL jersey. And the confidence he showed by saying, "I'm not being anybody's backup," that's not arrogance. That's a warning, because the league might not fully believe it yet. But Shedeur does, and sooner or later, everybody else will too.